again, and welcome to Ready for Round 2. I am Joy Donaldson, and here is where we allow ourselves to go multiple rounds in our sexual recovery, reclamation, and renaissance. This is the episode I have been waiting to do. This is the episode where we talk about our kinks, our fetishes, and our fantasies. Yeah, I can't wait. So what is a kink? The best way you can describe a kink is almost like a quirk. It's kind of a little nugget, little thing that we're into. It's not something that we necessarily need to be able to get off, but it's a welcome companion. It's something that gives a little spice, whereas a fetish is something that is a requirement in order to be able to be gratified sexually. And in the midst of that, in the middle of that, that's where we find our fantasies, somewhere in between. I think I once told an ex one of the fantasies I had, and I watched him get confused because how I was attempting to talk about this fantasy made absolutely no sense, because I was making it up as I went, because in that moment I was highly sexually repressed. I did not know exactly what I needed and what I wanted, because I had become accustomed to being of service to my partners. I had convinced myself that as long as he got off, I'm okay. That will be enough for me. It was very much eating, sleep for dinner, but in my head, growing up the way that I did, I had convinced myself that this was enough. I cannot tell you how many orgasms I've had with partners. It's on the low end. With myself, however, incalculable. Like, I can't tell you how many I've had with myself. And that was when I discovered, or started the process of discovering, what it is that I actually like and how the fantasies of those things play out. I started fantasizing as a child. I did not know what I was fantasizing about. I just knew that I liked certain things. And that was mainly because of watching a lot of softcore porn and a lot of Skinemax, and seeing how the women in those scenes would react and like squirm and just convulse in all of these moments. And I knew in my brain how to get me to orgasm, how to get me to a full body feeling. But in practice, in actual like real life situations as an adult, my fantasies and my real life experiences did not line up. And I did not know why. I was trying so hard to figure out what I was missing. What was going on? Like, why was there such a gap here? Because I would dissociate, and I would, I faked orgasms for years because I just wanted it to be over with. Whenever I realized that I wasn't having fun, this wasn't good for me. A good portion of sex that I've had with partners is a blur. I don't remember it. Not solely because these men were trash, but more so, there were no real finishings there. They just didn't happen. And that was when I realized that I needed to take those things into my own hands. I think I went to my first sex party when I was 20, like sex toy party. And it sucked. I was around a bunch of sex toys and porn videos that depicted all the fetishes that one in that room could potentially explore, but there was no communication about those things. And that's why I'm not a big proponent of sex toy parties that are just for sex toy's sake. Like, that's the draw, not the communication, not the conversations, not, yo, I've been trying to figure out why I can't do this. Like, that's why I'm here. Like, that doesn't usually happen, especially in cis spaces. So I don't like those. But I didn't know I didn't like those until I went to a multitude of them and realized, oh, I don't like them. Because there's nothing there. It's very shallow. It's very, oh, girl, you gonna get him with this. Okay. And no real thought about the person that has the vulva and what they like, more so what they could do for the person that has the penis. Like, that was the entire reason for you showing up to this party. Yeah, you got your own toys, but even then, oh, girl, you gotta hide this from him, and you can't let him see this, you can't do that, or you put him in charge of it. Oh, here's one that has your remote, and you can put this in your panties, and you could do this, but there's still no communication. There's still no, why don't you like me having a toy? Why don't you want me to experience pleasure without you? Why don't you want me to think about or even talk about my fantasies with you, or my kinks, or my fetishes, or whichever with you? Why? So then I began to talk with myself more and figure out my own why. Having vaginismus already made me feel like I was broken. Like, my vagina's broken. It wasn't until I was playing with a toy and discovered my clitoris is when I began to really go through all of the emotions when it came to having an orgasm, because I never went down into that space. I talked about that before, where having orgasm is something that leaves you vulnerable. It opens you up, and not even on no like soul ties. No, I ain't talking about that bullshit. I'm talking about literally and physically. It opens you up. We talk about the little death and how that's how orgasms are looked at in France. And it's a moment of being in between the veil, because you're no longer in control of your body, and you are surrendering to whatever pleasure is happening. And that is a powerful thing. So much stuff can be done there. Sex magic can be done in those moments. Niggas could sign their life away during orgasm in those moments. Like, it's so many things that can happen in that space. And when I discovered that there's so much more that goes into it than what somebody else can give you, is when I allowed myself to go deeper into what my kinks and my fantasies are. I had an experience once where I had sex with a guy who did not appreciate that he did not put me to bed. The only time I have been able, or I am able, to go to sleep after an orgasm is during solo sessions. When I'm having sex with someone else, it wakes me up. So I need, not even want, I need to go multiple rounds to be able to essentially empty myself out. Otherwise, all the remaining orgasms are going to stay where they are, and either I'm going to finish it or they're just gonna be there till next time. And I don't like that second option. So I've had partners that would get upset at me or frustrated with me because I need to go more than one round. So one of my fantasies is to have a male female threesome who can take me through the ringer and let me pour myself out and wear myself out while also being worshipped. There was a conversation that was happening on Twitter about the difference between a train and a threesome with two men, one woman. So many men could not wrap their head around the woman having any sort of agency and choosing to have the threesome with the two men. It obviously is a train. When people kept asking what's the difference, it all came down to consent. Because no woman would consent to having sex with two men, like willfully, without their pleasure being the most important thing. Her doing that for her pleasure and then the men going along with that, no, that's just gay. Actual people were saying that a woman and two men having sex and her being the one that was being feasted on was gay. So when I really started to see that fantasy played out in a lot of the porn that I would start to look at, especially when I had to go find that porn that looked with people that look like me, it sparked something in me to go, oh, this is possible. Like there's a, I can find that. And then to me, I'm like, I don't care if they're straight. I don't care. Are we having a good time? Is everyone consenting? Did we get tested? Like, cool. And that is a fantasy of mine. Another fantasy is really allowing my who were taking back their narratives through BDS is very intricate, but finding the right person that can help me get into this space is vital. But it's more so sharing with that person. I'm asking if you want to go on this journey with me to help me heal this thing right here. made to feel that I don't need it as much as they do. So I'm coming into these spaces and with my fantasies of no, I want worship. I want tribute. And I've been told, even now, that I give off Dom energy. And in the farthest other realm of that, I give off Switch. And I'm like, bet. It's super dope. And it should be something that we talk about more. It was a threesome. It was a male threesome. In that particular threesome, the woman who at the time was the one that was receiving everything, she was being eaten out. Her breath. It makes me so happy. It makes me desire that even more because I've never felt safe. turned on in a headspace really to have myself be wide open. It just made me be like, oh my God, that's so beautiful. I wonder who I can have these conversations with outside of like a very small handful of people. And even then, like not even going this, are the support systems. Those people tend to be the best doms, and then your best subs tend to be the people with the high power positions, the ones in charge, because one wants what the other has behind closed doors. That movie series. Heinous people just, I don't want to go to therapy communications and conversation. Shame is almost a default in that. It could have awakened something, but it's not. What do you mean by that? Adding to the conversation with some